Hey y'all, I'm gonna come to y'all with a quick video. I am holding this bad boy with my hand, as you can see my arm right here, so it ain't gonna be long, okay? But I wanted to come to you guys and talk to you about anti-blackness within folklore. And, well, the folklore of the Bible, we already, the revised versions, like with the Mormon, right? How they say black skin is a punishment, and that as this punishment, black people were scattered across the earth. Unfortunately, many people believe that nonsense. So we know the power of words, we know the danger of words, and we know brainwashing and the motivator being fear. So let me put these glasses on so I can see what I'm reading. But this one is from the Filipino origin story. And I'm just summarizing it because it's a lot of stuff, but I'm gonna get to the good part. So, and I know I'm gonna butcher the names because I'm not Filipino and I don't know how to pronounce the names. So if any Filipino happens to watch this, I do apologize, but I don't know how to pronounce the names. I'm doing my best. So Captain, right? Or Captain was one of the gods. And he wanted this other being called, I'm going to try it, Padaguan, to only worship him and his fellow gods. Well, and I'm going to shorten it, Panda, right? So I can say it without butchering it. So Panda was like, well, I caught a big shark and the shark is as big as you. So if I can conquer the shark, I mean, I can conquer the gods. So Captain was like, oh, okay, so you think you can conquer the gods? Well, let me strike you with a thunderbolt. So here we go into the anti-blackness. Pay very, very, very close attention. So it says this. It says, it's like Padaguan, but I'm going to just say Panda. It said, Panda did not die. After lying on the ground for 30 days, he regained his strength. This is after he got struck by the lightning. But his body was blackened from lightning, and all his descendants from that day have been black. Let's rewind that. As a punishment from this god, he was struck by lightning, laid on the ground for 30 days, and his body was blackened from the lightning. And all his descendants from that day have been black. Again, the narrative is a punishment to have dark skin. I gotta take my glasses. So are y'all getting that? Does that theme sound very familiar across the board in many origin stories? Okay, let's continue. His son Arion was taken north. He was born before his father's punishment. He did not lose his color, and all his people therefore is white. Okay, so white, no punishment. Good. Reward. I mean, is that sounding very familiar? Let's continue. Lebo and Saman were carried south, where the hot sun scorched their bodies and caused all their descendants to be brown. Let's rewind it again. His son Arion was taken north. He was born before his father's punishment. He did not lose his color, and all his people therefore is white. The programming, white is good. White is a reward. Anything other than white is a punishment. Lebo and Saman were carried south, where the hot sun scorched their bodies and caused all their descendants to be brown. Now, their explanation for people being yellow is that they were sent somewhere else and was forced to eat clay, and now all their descendants yellow. So are we catching the theme here? Everybody else suffered in some form or fashion. White folks didn't get punished in no way. They wasn't hit by no lightning, according to this folklore, racist folklore. They wasn't struck by lightning. They didn't get scorched in the burning sun, and they weren't forced to eat clay. They was just living a beautiful, perfect life. Now let's see how that translates now. And then you have to wonder, who really wrote this folklore? Because apparently whoever wrote this folklore was anti-black. Which, when I say black, black is not a people. It is a class system. And within that class system of black, the skin tone can range to high yellow, brown, a light brown, a medium brown, a dark brown, a extremely dark brown with red undertones, an extremely dark brown with a bluish undertone, what they call black, but I've never seen nobody this color. But you get the thing. It's always dark skin is some form of punishment, which is complete and utter nonsense because the sun says otherwise. You need this dark skin in order to survive this earth that we live on. If you are not born with any form of natural protectant for the sun, then you need to put some artificial protectant on your skin in order to survive the sun. Not only that, the darker the skin, the more preserved the skin is. And this is why you hear the saying, black don't crack. I'm 49. I will be 50 July the 27th. And I don't look like, and I'll never look my age because I got melanin. You take someone who is further away from the melanin spectrum and they're lighter, they be 20 years old and looking like they damn near 60 because the sun has tore their skin up. No fault of their own. No fault of their own. They didn't choose their skin color, but it is what it is. So all of these racist origin stories that tell us that any shade of brown from the lightest to the very, very, very darkest is a punishment from some God. Now, the Christian Bible has a version of the Filipino one. And I'm sure there are other racist origin stories out there that's promoting this nonsense. Now, mind you, you encounter someone in your adult years from these places that have racist origin stories, folklores. And then you wonder why your encounter with them is the way that it is. You wonder why they are so ingrained with the anti-blackness. You wonder why common sense does not exist in their brain when it comes to skin color. It's because they've been brainwashed from a very, very extremely young age. And it seemed like we, as beautiful, melanated beings on this earth, are the only ones that's accepting of others, even when we don't get that respect in return. Even when we don't get that acceptance in return, we are understanding, we are accepting. But when we are reactionary to the non-stop global racism, suddenly they want to call us anti this, anti that. But history says otherwise. Okay? History says otherwise. So this is the reason why we have the issues that we have as people of color. Ancient people of color. And I'm not saying people of color because somebody's fantasy said, okay, well, I'm of this particular group. They skin ain't got no color, but they say they're of people of color. Of color means of color. of color. But let's even break it down more. Black. Because these racist origin stories don't say nothing about no people of color. They have different varying degrees of punishment. The darker you are, the more severe the punishment was by these so-called gods. In according to the stories, the only people who wasn't punished was the white folks. So the gods was the white folks, right? In these racist origin stories, the gods was the white folks because they was the only ones that was not punished across the board. They didn't get scattered about. They didn't have to walk in the desert and eat clay. They didn't get struck by lightning. And then you go over to the Bible, and they got their punishment origin stories. They wasn't sold into slavery according to, and that's a lie, because everybody was sold into slavery. I mean, there is not one so-called race on this earth that escaped being put into bondage, okay? We all in debt bondage right now. Slavery ain't never stopped. It is the economy that props up every single country on this earth. Slavery has not stopped. This racist mindset has not stopped. Now, people who benefit from this classist system that is attached to racism, that is attached to the ability to get access to resources and quality resources solely based upon your skin color. Oh, and hair texture, I forgot. Because there's another version of the Filipino racist folklore that uses an oven to explain this nonsense. And the Negro, the black person, was left in the oven too long, so they got burnt, and then their hair got crispy, and then the lips swole up, and that's why you got thick lips. The nonsense, okay? The nonsense. I'm sure if you dig deeper, you can find even more racist, anti-black rhetoric that's woven within these societies and these communities. It's crazy. But let me get back to what I was saying about the people who benefit, the people on the lighter end of the spectrum, who benefit from this racist structure. They always love to say, aren't you, racism is not that bad. Or do we got to make everything about race? Aren't you tired of talking about race? Me personally, I'm exhausted from talking about race, okay? I am exhausted. However, it is something that has to be talked about because it's a reality for me and those who look like me. It is our reality. We prefer not to talk about race, okay? We prefer to be treated with respect. But y'all don't seem to understand that concept. So we have to have these conversations like we talking to children. We have to remind y'all of the atrocities that y'all have done and is currently doing. No, we'd rather talk about other stuff. We'd rather talk about how good our day is going. We'd rather talk about how beautiful our neighborhoods are. We'd rather talk about how, we can go anywhere on this planet without fearing someone doing harm to us only because of our skin color. Yeah, we would prefer to have a carefree life such as yourself. But because y'all can't get it together, y'all refuse to get it together, and y'all like to act like narcissists and gaslight everybody and pretend like what you did, you didn't just do, and what you said, you didn't just say, and how everybody should put up with your mess, we will continue to talk about racism. It ain't just us talking about it. You got Asians talking about y'all behavior. You got everybody around the globe talking about y'all behavior, and we're going to keep talking. But back to these racist folklores. This stuff is sickening. It is sickening, and it is disgusting, and this stuff is taught to children, and children grow up to be adults, And not only do they hate themselves if they have dark skin, but they hate others with dark skin. This is a sad state of affairs, y'all. The brainwashing is real. The brainwashing is extremely real. All right, peace.